Okay, everything should be working, I hope. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and Xenos of all ages to another Tactica Imperialis live stream. And hopefully, this time, we won't have the same disasters we had last time. Which, by the way, I haven't actually published it. It's not because I don't want to, I just kind of forgot. So, you won't get to the meme moment, probably. It was a good stream. I'm just not sure I'm going to publish it. But hey, good evening. So, obviously we've got a little bit of news we can discuss. The Drukhari, the Drukhari are practically upon us. We've been getting their previews all week, which is just lovely. So, sorry, I just ate, so yeah. So hopefully you can have a look at their some of their traits. We can look at the Cabals and the covens. We'll probably get the witch cults tomorrow. And then Friday, not sure. So, yeah, we've got the Drukhari we can discuss, and of course we've got other things going on as always. I've actually got a bit more progress done on my retributors as well. So I've actually got 2 of them done now, well, two done and 1 half base coated. Just need to do the gold for its base coat, and then that thing's done. So can do that, and of course we can just have a general discussion because now the Adepticon video has come out. I'm more than happy to go on ad nauseum about what happened at Adepticon. Now that that's all come out. I mean, I did talk about it a bit on Sunday, but I could really go on about it now that the Adepticon video is out. I've got a chance to see it and think about it, and I can discuss what I said in that video. So we can do all of that good stuff as per usual. So I suppose that's everything I need to say as an introduction. It's just over to the chat to decide how we're going to start, because I can paint, I can do the news, we can talk. I don't really mind all that much, I'm honest. And I know it's like, I probably should start streaming earlier, because I streamed at 6 French time on Sunday and had a really good turnout. But then again, that was also because I streamed on a Sunday. Would need to verify we're doing a 6 o'clock midweek stream, but at the same time, my classes don't always make that easy. So I have to think about that one. Yes, you really think I'm going to fall for that one? Alright, news? Okay. Yeah, it's always good to do the news first, because then people who are watching the stream in post don't have to skip through and skip ahead. Evening. That's set? Yeah. Alright, so we're going to be having a look at the Drukhari news, because that's the main stuff, so we'll talk about the Drukhari. I'm aware we'll be talking about this on the Adeptus podcast as well, which is of course on my channel. That'll be coming out, that'll be out this time next week. Of course it'll come out several hours before this time next week, but by this time next week there'll be a podcast out on my channel, and we'll be discussing the Drukhari on there, I'm sure, but I thought I might as well get my thoughts in here at length, because, well, it always just suits me to do it that way. Turn that down a bit. Alright, so let's just hop right over to Warhammer Community and the Codex Drukhari preview. There are 3 parts to this, so we'll do the first part first, because logic. So the Drukhari are going to be fascinating. As I say here, they don't do anything the normal way. We imagine they got bored of conventional warfare. So they're a very incoherent sort of force, which is going to be interesting. So how that's going to function is the Cabals, the Witch Cults, and the Homunculus covens, oops, that's the wrong button, are all going to have their own traits and abilities that are unique to them. So if you make a mixed army, you will only be getting the benefits on part of your army. So, for example, you make a Cabal detachment, a Cult detachment, and a Coven detachment, and you pledge your obsession, because that's what they call them, to be to Cabal X, then the Cult and Coven units, by what I think is going on, will not benefit. So, it's going to be intriguing. Well, how will I start collecting? Because the ready. Yeah, there's the witch start collecting now. I might go and have another look at that just in between sections. But yes, the Cabal one, I don't know if they're retiring it, But it's going to be interesting either way. But what they are doing to reward you if you do want to still diversify is to have different detachments. You get rewarded for that. So if your battle-forged army includes at least 3 Drukhari patrol detachments, you receive 4 extra command points. If you have 6 or more, you get +8. So instead of taking a brigade, where you get 9 command points, you could take 6 patrols, where you get 6 command points +8. Admittedly, you then have to have a lot of HQs and troops to make that work, because it specifies patrol detachments, which of course are the basic detachments. But it's going to be interesting to see whether the ideal Drukhari route is the Cabal one is going. Yeah, I thought it might be. So it'll be interesting to see if the Drukhari power build, or one of the powerful builds, is to go down the dedicate your entire army in one mega detachment to one faction, whether it's going to be having a small amount of detachments all under one banner, so that having 3 Cabal detachments that all get the benefits and you get all the command points, or whether you go for diversity, lose out on some of the traits, but you gain in getting a butt ton of command points. I'm thinking it will probably be the lots of little detachments that are then rewarded with lots of command points. So you take 3 patrol detachments in place of a battalion. Instead of getting 3, you'll get 7. I don't know if that will be the most powerful way to do it. I think I'd need a Drukhari player here to tell me what they think. Because unlike the Necron players, we don't seem to have a huge amount of Drukhari players in the stream chat like we do in the Necron preview. But I'll be curious to see how that pans out. And we also have a way to benefit you running a mixed army. So use the stratagem before the battle for 1 command point if your warlord is an Archon. So take a Cabal detachment and make it your primary, and make the Archon your warlord. Give a Homunculus and a Succubus a warlord trait. Note that they are only regarded as your warlord for the purpose of these traits, not in terms of slay the warlord and such. So you effectively get 3 warlords for the price of 1 in a Drukhari army if you fully mix up your army. So you have a Cabal detachment, a Cult detachment, and a Coven detachment, then you'll get the benefits of doing that. So it's gonna be interesting to see whether they do that, because the fact that it's 1 command point is compensated for by the fact that if you're taking the Alliance of Agony style, that's 3 different detachments more than likely, because you wouldn't mix in 1 detachment, because then you just wouldn't benefit half as much. So it's going to be fun, because you'll gain the 4 command points off the raiding force if you take 3 patrols, and then you spend 1 of them to then generate 2 free warlord traits. So that's a really good way of doing it. So lots of diversity, very small factions, working around collections of leaders rather than 1. Your anti-armor could be covered by Cabal, and then Racks hold the front line. That's very true. So that's the basic look at Drukhari. And has the chat frozen? Yeah, the chat froze there. I apologise. So do you think they're going to remake the old Ranger, or are they going to add new units for Sisters of Battle? Both. I think the old Ranger, though, Classic Sisters, Dominion Squad, Celestians, and stuff will get redone. But I think that we might see maybe 2 or 3 additional units added. It depends on how crazy they go. Personally, I think that we'll get both. Most tournaments have a limit on detachments. 6 patrols? Would that be too much? I mean, it depends on points as well. So like 3, I can't see 3 being a problem. Because obviously, like an 1850 point tournament, that's 3 600 point detachments. You don't get loads in that, particularly in an elite army like Dark Eldar. So I'll be curious to see. Like I say, I'm just curious to see how it will go. My homunculus recommends a dosage of amputation. We'll get to the covens rules in a bit. For the moment, we have the Cabals to do, and then we can move on. So Goliath weapon packs. Actually, let me just have a look at that. Start collecting, because I've forgotten what's in it. Succubus, 10 witches, 3 reavers, and a venom. That's really good. That's really good for value. That's really good value. I have to say that's exceptionally good value. Yeah. So obviously, I don't know if you are Drukhari players, but please do chat. Let me know what you're thinking, because I am very much fascinated. Too many, usually 3 detachments is the GT standard. Okay, so 1 cult, 1 coven, 1 cabal, and then have 3 warlord traits? Or would it be better to just take 1 mega doom detachment or 1 big detachment and then a second detachment and sacrifice those command points for more synergy? I don't know. I'm very interested to see what's going to be the done thing, I suppose. So, Cabals. These like the classic Drukhari army. Part militant cell, part crime family, part macabre hunting lodge. I've got to be honest that the idea of like a Drukhari detachment that works like the mafia is kind of appealing. So you could do like a bunch of conversions, so that instead of that you've got the ultra bare-headed guys, and you give them like fedoras. And you add like drum magazines to the splinter rifle, like Tommy guns. I know that's extremely cheesy and cringy, but it just kind of amuses me. It amuses me. Have you heard of the upcoming 40k RPG season that's meant to replace the Fantasy Flight games? I haven't. That is news to me. I haven't heard of that. I don't keep track of the RPG scene very much. Alexis might know more. If I remember, I'll try and bring that up on the podcast if Alexis doesn't do that, because she's much more into the RPGs than I am. Agreed, not hugely clear. I'm very interested to see what the done thing is. But yeah, as I was saying, the whole like, mafia things here, everyone's got like Tommy gun splinter rifles. And you can have them riding on the edge of the raiders, because that just makes sense. I know that just kind of appeals to me, that having like a cabal that works like the actual mafia. I don't know. I'm a bit of a nerd sometimes. Wrath and Glory. Okay, I'll try and remember that going forward. So cabal detachment for the backbone of your army of 4 obsessions. This is what is different for the Drukhari. They're getting a lot of obsessions, because most armies get about 6 tenets, traits, codes, etc. The Cabals will get, and the Drukhari will get many, many more. As to our vet, we have had no confirmation on vet, but the fact he hasn't been mentioned means I'm not expecting it. No, I'm not drunk. I just saw the word crime family and thought mafia. I don't know why. I'm just a bit of a nerd. I don't drink alcohol, so I'm certainly not drunk. So, Cabal of the Black Heart. Units of this obsession that have the power from pain ability treat the current battle round as being 1 higher than it actually is when determining what bonuses they gain. Units of this obsession that do not have power from pain instead gain inured to suffering. Dark Eldar players will know what that means. Power from pain, I go straight to the Daughters of Cain logic, where you have like bonuses to get rerolls to this, rerolls to that, rerolls to this, rerolls to that, as you go along and get more and more and more. So, for example, I think it gives one here. In practice, from the very first turn, you'll be running and rerolling your runs and charges. So you'll be very, very fast. Therefore, get raiders in reserve using something called Screaming Jets, which is a 1 command point stratagem. So if you've not used Webway Portal in the battle, which is a separate stratagem, set up a vehicle from your army that can fly in the sky, and it can then descend at the end of any of your movement phases. So it comes in from reserve, and if you use it as a transport, all units embarked inside remain so when it is set up in the sky. Level 4 makes you immune to morale. Yeah, like it's level 5 for the Daughters of Cain, so yeah. Going Cabals back out. Okay, we'll cover the other Cabals as we go. So that's an interesting little stratagem. If you don't use webway portals, you can just teleport your transports right into the enemy's face. And obviously the buff to power from pain is always welcome. I forget what Inure to Suffering does. I don't know what that is. So we also have a Black Heart Warlord trait. So every time a command point is spent on a stratagem, you gain a command point on a 6. That's friendly and enemy stratagems are used each time you get a command point back on a 6. So it's not huge, but it could be useful just keeping your command points topped up. Space Elves are hit like a truck but can't take a hit. Yep, Drukhari have always been glass cannons. Cabal the Poison Tongue. Honestly, these have always been like my favourites, mainly because I like Lady Malice, but of course she's not in the Codex. 6, I feel no pain. Is that what part? Is that Inure to Suffering? Because, oh, that's Inure to Suffering. Okay, that would make sense because that fits with Daughters of Cain as well, with their fanatical faith. So, Cabal the Poison Tongue, reroll wound rolls of 1 for melee and poisoned weapons used by models with this obsession. Does not apply to relics. For the purposes of this obsession, a poisoned weapon is any weapon with the poisoned weapon ability. So, that's a lot of rerolling 1s to wound. Ow. Is it more powerful than having power from pain being buffed? I don't know. But if you're running butt tons upon butt tons of splinter weapons and melee army units, although in Cabal you don't have many melee units, because the cults have the witches, the incubi are free agents, the homunculi are separate. I'm interested to see what you'd combo this with other than like archons and the court of the archon, because Trueborn and Carbolites generally don't want to be in melee because they have more power in their guns. Does still benefit because of poisoned weapons getting the benefit. I don't know how much melee weapons will benefit. So yeah, Azrael's waifu concubine. Oh yes, Malice. Although the two went to war over Cain's Gate, so Malice is an interesting one. Malice is an interesting one. So Splinter Racks. This. Oh, hang on, I just scrolled up by accident. Lady Malice is the Archon of the Cabal of the Poison Tongue. She was brought, tempted, tricked, somehow found herself in the webway, having a riddle off with Chegarak, which she won, and so she gained a crystal heart that she got in place of her own. She is therefore extremely resistant, if not immune to psychic powers, and it seems like two souls are in the same body talking to each other, even though one life sign registers. She's also one of the only people who can keep up with and potentially outthink Vect. And she went to war with the Cabal of the Blackheart over Cain's Gate in the run-up to the Yanari business. She doesn't have any rules since the 5th edition codex because she got canned from the game along with basically everybody, which is a shame, but there you go. So Splinter Racks, each time a model is embarked when it shoots a splinter weapon and you roll a 6+, it scores 2 hits instead of 1. Ouch! That's probably pretty useful and combos up with the Cabal very nicely. And their relic is an Archon with a splinter pistol, which will not benefit from the Poison Tongue ability because it's an artifact of cruelty. But it's a 2-shot pistol that is poisoned with 1 rend and D3 damage, and you add 2 to wound rolls for this weapon, meaning that it wounds on a 2. So it basically has Fleshbane, from people who remember that, and unless it targets any vehicle, and it can target enemy units that are not visible to the firer, and can even target enemy characters even if they're not the closest. Units attacked by this weapon do not get bonuses for cover either. She was something of a consort. She was part of his court, a consort, I believe, before she went off on her own. So the Soul Seeker is not going to benefit from the trait, but a 2-shot poison D3 damage pistol that wounds on a 2 and can snipe characters out of cover and out of sight That's a pretty powerful pistol. I have to say, that's a pretty powerful pistol. Did I cover Lady Malice when I did my Dark Eldar video all that time ago? I feel like I will have done. I feel like... Go back and check my Dark Eldar lore video, which was like over like nearly 18 months ago now. But you can go and check that, and I think I'm 80% I covered Lady Malice in that video. So you could probably look at her a bit there. So yeah, that's the Poison Tongue, and I think they're going to be quite useful if you're running a lot of infantry and you combo that with vehicles. Because bear in mind, you could easily do the drop-in thing, because that's just a Drukhari stratagem, it's not Blackheart. So you could drop in and lay down punishingly powerful poison fire at point-blank range using Splinter Axe to get more hits. That's a potentially quite powerful combo. What you miss is some Drukhari discussion. So we've covered some of their abilities. We're covering the Cabals at the moment, so we've done the Black Heart, we've just done the Poison Tongue, and we're about to do the Flayed Skull. So the Flayed Skull has Slave from the Skies. Add 3 inches to the move characteristic of all models with Fly. If such a model has a minimum max, only add 3 to the max, not the min. In addition, enemy units do not get cover saves against attacks made by models that can fly, or that are embarked on models that can fly. Also, reroll his rolls of 1 for such models when they attack with rapid fire weapons. So put everything in a Raider or a Venom if you can, and just spam it. You'll fly lightning quick up the board. You'll have rerolls to hit of 1s, and you'll also be ignoring cover saves. And you're poisoned. That is brutal. That could be absolutely brutal if you combo that up nicely. Jesus, that's powerful. I don't know if it's the most powerful, but you'll be objective capping like that. And whilst this won't benefit Reavers, because they're cult, it's going to be pretty damn powerful. I'm interested to see if Scourges come under the Cabal or are free agents, if they've got the Cabal keyword or not. That I do want to check. Either way, that's nasty. That is nasty. Cabal the Flayed Skull stratagem, 1 command point. When you select a unit to shoot with in the shooting phase, add +1 to hit rolls if they target units that can fly. So you shoot as the Tau Battlesuit, you're rerolling 1s to hit if you're in a transport or you're a flyer, and then you're also adding 1 as well. So that's a pretty powerful combo for dealing with flyers, for dealing with battlesuits, jump packs. Basically, this is the army that's going to play board control. So that's actually pretty good, because you basically just say, you have fast-moving flying units? No, you don't. I've got benefits to whacking them in the face. Also, my flying units get bonuses whilst they're flying or in a unit that can fly. Therefore, I'm going to whack you really hard in the face and cap objectives because I move faster. That's, yeah. That's a board control Drukhari army. And the only thing I worry about is whether they've got the resilience to actually play the game that way. I do worry if they've got the damage, the defense to make that work. Yeah, the air superiority force, that's what they are. They'll dominate the skies and thus have board control. We also note that for the 3rd book in a row, GW can't balance Xenos armies out of indices. So the Blaster has gone from 18-inch range assault 1, 8-4-D3 to 18-inch assault 1, 8-4-D6. So they've doubled its damage for less than 20 points. That's a nice benefit. That's a really nice benefit. And again, remember, if you're shooting at flying units, which would be good for sniping out with these things, you're adding 1 to hit if you use a command point. You're in a transport or you are a flyer, you are rerolling 1s to hit. So that's quite nasty. And you also did blast pistols who've been buffed the same way. How I received a similar buff, you'll be able to win any duels your characters find themselves in by disintegration. Yeah. I'm going to go all out. Scourges have also received a points reduction. They won't benefit from Obsession. Okay, that's answered my question from earlier. Scourges do not get the Cabal cult coven buffs. They're free agents. So whether Incubi and Scourges and other non-aligned units will be worth taking because they don't get army benefits will be interesting. I mean, I personally have a real soft spot for Scourges. Like, if I was to run a Drukhari army, I'd run Cabal the Poison Tongue with Scourges. And probably a witch cult on the side. So like, this army suits me right down to the ground, this new Drukhari. Like, Cabal the Poison Tongue detachment, Cult of Something detachment, we'll see the cults tomorrow. Then throw some Scourges in there. Maybe throw in a Covens detachment if I could stomach painting Covens. And do that and get bonus command points. That sounds really fun to me. Like, that's... Excuse me, why am I yawning? I just like that buff. Got people here, stream's healthy, good, everything's working. I was just worried everything wasn't working for a second. Up, professional YouTubing. I do that so often. Professional YouTubing. So I keep forgetting that I'm on screen cap when I hop over to the bloody control center. I'm not intelligent. And then finally we've got one more Cabal, I think. The Cabal of the Obsidian Rose. Oh, I know those guys. So these guys sound like they're going to be infantry based. Flawless workmanship. Add 6 inches to the range of all assault, rapid fire, and heavy weapons. This does not apply to eye bursts or relics. Holy jeez Louise. That's basically every gun in the game. Almost every gun in the game gains a 6-inch boost to its range. Bloody hell. Bloody hell. I've already held Eldari forces got to be glass, because if they weren't, they'd just be faster Space Marines. Like, they've got... The problem is, like, they have to have a thing that makes them... The Space Marines are all-rounders. The Guard are numerous and powerful, but they fall over quite quickly individually, but they've got a lot of numbers and they've got tough tanks. The Eldari hit like a brick and a lightning fast, but they're a glass cannon to compensate. The Tau are terrible in melee, but they have decent toughness and decent maneuverability and a lot of range power. It's all about making every army have a bit of its own unique flavour. So the Eldaris is that they can't take a hit. Sort of, unless you play Homunculus covens. Cabal the Obsidian Rose, not macro. Okay, macro. Yeah, there's a few guns that you but I doubt the Drukhari have got loads of those. I doubt they've got many macro guns. So 1 command point, if you fail a morale check, select which models will flee, but before removing them, each can either shoot as if it were the shooting phase, or make a single attack as if it were the fight phase. If any enemy models are slain, nobody flees. If nobody dies, then the models run as normal. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. It's like, oh god, you've just massacred half my unit. But one of the guys that's going to run away plinked a guy, so the rest of the unit isn't going to run away. Yay! That could be really powerful if applied in the right place, that you need to tar pit a character for 1 more round. So, yes, now I hold, because I shot a guy from a mile away, I shot a guy halfway across the map, so now my unit doesn't run. Yay! That could be really quite useful. Yeah. Finally, so Armour of Misery, Given Archon a 3+ save and -1 to hit for attacks against him in the fight phase. So get your Archon into melee and he's practically immortal. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Like, 3+ save and -1 to hit isn't stellar. They say combo with the Shadow Field, which I'm assuming is as stupid as it used to, because in the old days that was a 2+ invulnerable that you had until you failed it, and then you didn't have it anymore. So I'm interested to see what the new Shadow Field is. But yeah, fun. Is that everything? Yes, that's everything. So yeah, that's fascinating. Like, the Cabals, I've said it many a time, Drukhari are not my favourite army. I don't like them very much, lore-wise, so I've never gone for them as a faction. But I do like what they're doing with the Drukhari. We'll cover the covens in a sec. Let me just get that set up. We'll be covering the covens, and they're even less likely to take my affections. But yeah. It's just a really interesting way of running an army, and I really like it. I really just like the way that they're handling Drukhari. I do. I really like it. Is it good? I don't know. Is it even workable? I don't know. When I saw they look good. Okay. Yeah, I just like what they're doing. I think that's just a good way of saying it. I like what they're doing. So, let's take a look at the Homunculus coven, shall we? So they are the only Eldari to universally refuse the offer of the Inari. I knew that was the case. I knew I'd seen that somewhere. When I said it in my Inari and Homunculi lore videos, I was like, hang on, I can't find a source on this. I just know it to be true. And there's my source. There, good. So, the Prophets of Flesh, which is supposed to be Yuri and Rakarths. So, if model has this obsession, the invulnerable save conferred by Insensible to Pain is increased to 4+. So, ouch. Have a 4+ invuln followed by a 6-up Feel No Pain, and your T5. Woo! Ooh, ouch. That's quite sticky. That's quite sticky. That is really sticky, and yeah, ow. Ooh, I don't fancy killing. And then again, 4+ invulnerable, 6 up Feel No Pain isn't that bad. Like, the hit they're doing. Yeah, I explained it in my Homunculus lore video why it makes sense. It's just I didn't have a source on it. I just sort of knew it to be the case. That's what I was trying to get at. So, 2 command points. Use the strategy at the end of your movement phase. Pick a Rax unit from your army and remove it from the battlefield. Then set it up again at full strength within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield and more than 9 inches from any enemy models. So you could actually use that on turn 1 to teleport a unit of Rax from your side of the board to your opponent's side of the board, if you can find the space to put them. You might not always find the space to put them, but that's still a big teleport move, which will be very powerful if, let's say, you've been backcapping an objective. Bit late was watching Attack of the Clones. Oh god, why did you put yourself through the Star Wars prequels? You put yourself through the Star Wars prequels and missed a chunk of the stream as a result. Sad times. Or then, you win some, you lose some. Hearts have been broken just because these words are spoken. Sorry, I'm going to stop now. Alright, that's that thing, yeah. So yeah, the Idneth have been shown off in this month's White Dwarf. It's been leaked since some images around of the French White Dwarf, which unfortunately is too small for me to read, but what I could read was bloody amazing, mate. was bloody amazing. Anyways, yeah, Black Cornucopians, I think that's a really clever stratagem, and if it's well used for objective capping and also for, because you can use that basically, you bombed up the board, then you draw a Tac Ops card, I need to go home, quick TP to the back of the board with a unit of racks, and good, I'm capping it now. You could do that. And then Diabolical Soothsayer, which is a Warlord trait. Once per battle you can reroll a single hit, wound, save, or damage roll for your Warlord. In addition, if your army is Battleforged, you gain D3 command points at the start of the game. So what's the big Dark Eldar Titan like unit, or is this just normal Eldar Titans? They have, I think it's called the Tantalus? The Tantalus or something? It's like a super pain engine. But in the actual codex, they don't have one. The biggest big guys they have are the Talos and the Kronos, as well as the Flyers. They don't have the Titan, they don't have like a Wraith Knight equivalent or a Riptide equivalent or a Storm Surge equivalent, because it just doesn't suit their style of super fast glass cannons. Why would you bring a super mega bulky Titan to the battle when you're doing a raid? It just wouldn't make sense. So that's an interesting Warlord trait. Like, one critical reroll could be really useful, just have one really critical roll made, and also D3 additional command points, especially if you combo with this, and they mentioned this like 2 lines down. If you're using the ability of splitting detachments, you can spend a command point to give this Warlord trait to gain D3 extra command points, and with a Dark Eldar, with a Black Heart Archon, you can be gaining more command points. Plus, if you run a Cult one on top of that, because you'll be able to do that, you get another 4. So you could easily get a butt ton of command points as Drukhari just in your army build. Just in your army build, which is pretty good. That's a multi-legged Titan thing, but that might just be epic, yeah. The Tantalus is a giant ray that looks like a catamaran. Okay, I'm not an expert on my Drukhari, I'm afraid. Like, the Tantalus came to mind, but they might, I think they do have some sort of like creepy multi-legged monstrosity, but I don't know what it's called. The Dark Creed. Models enemy units subtract 1 from their leadership for each unit with this obsession within 6 inches to a max of -3. Night Lords. Night Lords, but Dark Eldar instead. That's... I don't know how many like leadership punishing things the Drukhari are going to have, other than just inflicting so much damage that bucket loads of bottles just run away. I don't know. But that could be really quite nasty. That could be nasty if they have units that say roll 2d6 minus leadership, deal that many mortal wounds, a la the old Psychic Scream Psychic power. I don't know quite what they're going to have, but if there's powers and abilities like that, yeah. Bravery debuff, chicanery ensues. So pray they don't take you alive. Use the stratagem of a Drukhari unit, so this is a general stratagem. Slays the enemy warlord in the fight phase. For the remainder of the battle, every model in the enemy army is at -1 leadership. Okay, so sneak assassinate with like mandrakes or something, the enemy warlord, and then your entire opponent's army is at -1 leadership. That will never happen, by the way, because most warlords are tanky as hell, but fun theory, because you can't snipe them out. It has to be in the fight phase. It has to be the fight phase. So an esoteric kill delivered from afar. What a long name. Give a Dark Creed unit the ability to snipe. For 2 command points, models in that unit can target enemy characters even if they're not the closest enemy unit. That's potentially terrifying. That's really good. Honestly, that's really good. Yeah, more running necrons. Oh yeah, that's not gonna... They'll never be as bad as... I'll let that be appended. I think that's a... So yeah, this sniper one, I don't know who's going to benefit from that the most. It might be like Ravage, like radio transports with Dark Lances would benefit from that. If the Hex Rifle is around, that would do it, although that might have Sniper anyway. AOS Death -8 Bravery only 1. Oh dear. Jesus, that's really bad. That's really bad. I mean, I play Order, so it's not as bad for me because I've got a lot of immune to battle shock, but Jesus. That's a lot of minuses. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one, the Dark Creed, as to how good they're going to be. Now, the Coven of 12, I'm glad to see the Coven of 12. I like the Coven of 12. Improve the AP of all melee weapons with this obsession by 1. This does not apply to relics. Ow! Ow, 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 ow. Jesus. Give your entire... that's not a conditional benefit like Solar Fury of the Mefrit Dynasty. What was the Mefrit Dynasty's one again? About their AP? Give me a second while I go and look that up. Because I can't quite remember and I don't want to change off here. Mefrit Dynasty, please. So theirs was shooting within half range. This is just all melee weapons. That's gonna sting. Like, Rax will get a rend of probably 1. Grotesque will probably get a 2, maybe a 3. Homunculi, Talos, Kronos. Ow my god, that's gonna hurt. That's really gonna hurt. And what may be the most awesomely named stratagem in Warhammer 40,000, quote unquote, administer punishment. Give a Coven of 12 unit of your army when they shoot the shooting phase. They can target enemy units that are in melee, but each time you roll a 1, you attack the Coven of 12 unit instead. For each weapon that hit automatically, roll the d6. On a 3 up, on a 4 up you hit, on a 3 down you fail. It's kind of used if the shooting unit is itself in melee. That's hilarious. Shoot into melee, but you can shoot your own guys. Perfect. Administer punishment. Yeah, that has to be said in a grandiose voice. It just does. So they're the 3 for the covens. So we've got 4 Cabal, 3 covens, and I'm thinking we're going to get 3 cults. We'll probably get Cult of Strife, Red Grief. Those are the 2 cults I know the best. There will be plenty of others that I can't think of at this moment. But yeah. That's what the Drukhari is shaping up to look like. And I think they're really interesting. Are they going to be the best army in the game? No, of course they're not. Are they going to be fun? Yeah, I think they might just be fun. They might just be fun. I don't know if I'd ever pick them up unless I was just feeling extremely masochistic for some reason. But that's a fun way of playing them, and I do like that. So yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think of the Drukhari at the moment? I'd be very, very curious to see what you have to say. Is there anything else major on Warhammer community I should draw attention to today? Not so much. Not so much. Stay tuned. So yeah, there you go. I'm probably going to pick up a paintbrush now because I just want to get this Retributor finish. I've nearly base coated him now, but I want to get this guy done before the end of the stream. I have too much to say. Not a fan, just waiting on an Orc update. Yeah, Orcs will be eventually. We'll get the Orcs eventually. Prepare for Yannari soup. The problem is if they're Inari, they won't benefit from those abilities. Like, all the abilities we've seen, pretty much, will only benefit because they're benefits that are for Drukhari, or they're for the specific Cabals and cults. I don't know about how much Inari soup is going to be a thing. Well, Inari is always going to be a thing, but I think I'd have to wait for the Inari Codex to see. But also, how much of the Drukhari stuff will usurp what's already in Inari soup? Like, how much is going to be usurped? Like, Dark Reapers, Wraith, like, what are they going to cut to fit this new Drukhari in? Actually, what's the Inari soup even running from the Drukhari at the moment? So, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be like this is what would convince me to look into Drukhari if they just had more characters. Like, if they had characters that I could invest in and care about. Like, I'm not fussed for Lilith as a character. I don't like Rakarth. I'm not fussed for Drazhar. There's no named Archon, despite the fact that they're the primary faction. There's no Vect or Malice. So, yeah. Good point. Not much better than what they have going now. Yeah, like, Craft Worlds is still going to be the building blocks of Inari soup. I think this book and Harlequins will not change that. Craft Worlds will still be the foundation of Inari soup. So yeah, is there anything else that has come up that you guys want to talk about, or that you've seen, or that's just something that's been on your mind, a question? Also, if you are wanting to ask a question for Adeptus Podcastus, get them in the next 48 hours, because this time on Friday we'll just be about to finish recording, so be careful not to leave it too long if you have any questions for us. Just on the stream, what are you painting? I'm painting a Stormcast Eternals Retributor. So, dude with massive hammer. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I've just finished my sort of news section where I've been talking about the Drukhari, so feel free to either rewind or just watch or catch that later. Long and short, interesting, but probably won't affect Ynnari much, and not enough to convince me to really get excited for them because they haven't got the characters, even if they've got some new flavour. Will Lord Celestin, does Star Trek have a bird on it? I will have a spare ether wing from my Vanguard Raptors kit. Maybe. Today on the 10th floor, I learned that Troy. I watched that. I saw that, and I love how Wib just made the point. Like, if Tactica Imperialis was here, they'd just be. I got the reviews on Saturday. I was painting one last stream, and I'm on to number 3. I'm wanting to complete a battalion. I'll discuss it a little bit more in this week's A Town Called Malice, but I want to complete the Storm Vortex Garrison, and for that I need more paladins, among other things, but you'll see that at A Town Called Malice. So I got them at the weekend. Any opinions on Forge Brain? Incredible good value. How powerful the 2 armies in it, I don't know, and how powerful everything is, I don't know. But in terms of value, amazing value, Forge Bane. As sure as we learn, I can't sing. Something's gotta give, something's gotta give, something's gotta give. Yeah, this is what I've been doing with streams. I've just been putting someone did a YouTube video which was just like a full version of Raid in New Vegas. It's like telling the story of the game and just playing a bunch of music. Yeah. I haven't actually tried with these. I'm just gonna replace them. I mean, I haven't actually done a wash yet, but I will endeavour to see. But they're probably ruined by the Norn oil spill. Yeah, the gold just takes. The gold is the bit that puts me off these guys sometimes. It's just like really quite slow to put the gold onto paladins. I could not paint an army in all gold. I tell you what, as much as I like the Hammers of Sigmar's paint scheme, I much prefer having something other than gold on gold. Drive me nuts. So, quite glad of my Sons of Malice paint scheme. Now that's against Marathi. It was an interesting fight. She was set up as a snake form and fought it out on the front line the entire match. Okay. So they sacrificed magic for power, which, considering the transformation is very damaging to Snake Marathi, it's, the wounds you take double. So that's an interesting way of doing it. Was she particularly powerful? Was the Ironheart of Cain really too annoying to deal with? I'm very curious to see what you think about her. Yeah, it's not so bad actually. Once you get into the habit of any of these things, it's really not so bad. A little bit slow, but could be much, much worse. So I'm like, no worries. I'm afraid you've missed the news segment where we discussed the Drukhari, but glad you could make it. One v one to Grit and Clean 1-on-1. Little bad, but not as soul crushing as somebody's magic phase. Is that Nagash? Kairos? Like when I think of magic, I think of Zinj, but with a nickname like that, I think of Nagash. So which cults tomorrow? I would expect so. It's not been outright stated that which cults are tomorrow, but I'd find it extremely likely. I probably won't cover them in a stream. Well, I might do on Sunday, but I'll be hopefully talking about it a bit on the podcast. So you'll be able to get my opinions there, at least generally. Nagash. Yeah. So, yeah, I can't see Marathi being on the same level as Nagash in any way, shape or form. Like, her magics can keep up, but not enough. And her snake form, she just probably doesn't have the damage output. Although she can solo a Great Unclean One. That's interesting to know. I wouldn't expect that she could solo a Great Unclean One. Assuming they do faction focusing on specific units, characters, I guess. Alright. Oh, actually, speaking of Age of Sigmar, did you guys see the Malign Portent short this week? I think it came out yesterday. The Marathi and Malerian AOS short for Malign Portents. Did you see it? Because if you haven't, I'm very tempted to just go and show you it because it is so intriguing. Like, I usually try and keep up with the Malign Portent stories, but this one really got my imagination. I'm painting a Retributor, I'm painting some Stormcast Paladins. Nothing super special. Apparently we're one of the best units in the book. Or is that extremely powerful? Okay, that needs neatening up, but that's okay. I can neaten that up. This is Mr. Newbeck. There's the Gasha Walking Oedipus complex. Read a bit of it, work makes it difficult to read at times, yeah. Yeah, I just want to bring attention to it because it shows just how much of a dick Malerian and Marathi are, but also how much intrigue there is in the faction of the Grand Alliance of Order. She made her points back in back-to-back charging, double turn, and then fought. Oh my god! Okay, Marathi is a beat stick. Do you want me to go and get it up and we'll have a read? Because I find it just so fascinating, I kind of want to talk about it once I've done this bit. Yay, story time. Just give me a minute to finish this gold base coat. Valyrian and Marathi don't exactly get on, but they get on as far as they're willing to chat and be civil. I still won, but she was a key part of the fight. Okay. So how powerful are the daughters then? If that's Marathi, she can make her points back and then solo a great unclean one. But you still won. Does that mean daughters are just weak, or are you just that good at the game? Never know. Nagash is just a... Nagash is not a god complex. Nagash is just a god. He's the god of death. That's not a god complex. That's... He is a god. That's not up for debate. Nagash is a god. So Malekith Valyrian has matricide. The two of them are not best of friends. That's for sure. I don't know about anything else. I had the Legendary Great Unclean One, an Exalted Great Unclean One, and more in an OP battalion. Okay, so that explains why you won, but what's your... that's Marath of Daughters of Cain then. Oh, we need to fix that purple. Yeah, I want to fix that purple and then we'll do the story, I think. Just need to fix a couple of bits. That's not my name before we start. And as I said, let me do the gold. And then also tidy up the purple because I've done a terrible job. Yeah, I can imagine Nagash is painful to play against. I can definitely imagine that. Spell that makes their spell deal 2d6 mortal wounds. They had no answer for it as the units have no invuln save. Yeah. Actually, no, Daughters have all got that 6-up save. Don't they all have that 6-up save after a save? I don't think they're much to kill Marathi at the moment. There's little to fear from the lore-wise, so why bother with a possible powerful ally? Exactly. Like the two of them have no reason to kill each other. They're both quite happy sharing their godhood. Well, not godhood in Marathi's case. But yeah. Nagash is fine. Just play. You just need to play your. Go first and. Yeah, but you can't just hope to go first against Nagash because like if you just draw a Mega Doom Battalion, did not help. I know it's just the 6 spots, but it is a thing. So much gold. Downside of paladins versus everything else. Way more gold. It's kind of you're playing your own Nagash. Well, that's not helpful for Order Destruction and Chaos players. That's not helpful at all. Nagash from Darkside plus Sauron. That would be a question I could answer if I knew my DC universe well enough, and if I knew enough about Lord of the Rings. As it is, I do not in either case, therefore I'm not very qualified to answer that question. I'll get this story up. I just want to touch up a couple of details that I've stuffed up. Just give me a moment while I find the story. Stories. Stories. Oh, I need to see it in sort by order release, sort by most recent, which is A Rescued Soul, I thought it was. Why do meteors always land in... I have not battled against New Nagash. Just have a look. Okay, I might have accidentally just dragged that around. Sorry, where are we, chat? More like the Lich King. Right, if we're going to do this story thing, I just need to do a little bit of dragging about. So I need to shrink the size of the camera down to here. The chat, I need to unlock that. Actually, I might have to, I'll just turn the chat off on that. And if there's a tyrannical god of death decides to declare everyone and everything in existence has become the god of gods. Alright, so this is story time with Tactica Imperialis for Age of Sigmar. I thought I'd misplaced the screen. There we go, okay. Okay, you need to be paused so as I can concentrate. So, this is a story called A Rescued Soul. The raw soul rose from endless, sanity-shattering torment. Stretched and drawn, it was pulled screaming from tar-like distillations of excess. It writhed like an abyss-dwelling eel caught on a hook that drew it ever upward into lighter waters. The soul's new surroundings were still murky, bathed in twilight, but they were blinding and glorious in comparison to the hellish darkness that had devoured it so long ago. The rescued animus was thin, attenuated to a surreal extent, but it had substance finally and a will of its own. Its relief at having escaped its tortuous fate was intensely profound, just as complete as the hunger of its nemesis. The soul's consciousness slowly focused as if waking from a nightmare, gaining increasing awareness of the true nature of things in its new reality. Dim shapes, linear and hard-edged, coalesced. Thank the gods, thought the soul. It was finally in a place. The soul surged toward the tapering shapes, their chiseled outlines seeming like a safe haven to a man escaping a riptide. The tall, geometrically perfect structures were carved with runes. From each of them came a chain of penumbral magic that stretched off into the distance beyond. The soul did not dare to look back at that which they bound. It was not certain of much in its diaphanous new life, but it knew with iron solidity it would rather die 1,000 times than look back. On into the twilight stretched the soul, its thin screams dwindling as it drew near the tallest of the structures. It reached a kind of stasis there, one end of its essence caught in some kind of energy field, whilst the rest was drawn inexorably toward it. Though it had no eyes, the soul could sense 2 figures looming over it. Their auras conveyed great majesty, and though it had no ears, the soul could hear the faint whisper of an exchange between the 2 figures, hardening into words. Is there anything in there? Okay, that's fine. Just scroll past that. I'm not going to do the voice acting, by the way. I'm not good enough to try and voice act Marathi and Valyrian. And so another is teased from within that cavernous gullet, said the first essence. She was a female with a velvet smooth voice marred by a hissing sibilance. A strong one at that. They're becoming more difficult to ensnare, said the other. Male, both young and old at the same time, his tones carried the weight of infinite disappointment. I wonder if the twins are finding the same thing. Of course they are, snapped the female. They might think their skill superior, but we too are gods. Or you are, at the least. Her tone became bitter and filled with envy at the last admission. The very fact this place has been held in balance so long shows that when we act together, we are equals in every way. If you say so, said the male idly. Do you think I am oblivious to your secret visits? Your armies grow stronger than ever, the Scathborn more numerous every time I look. You know full well I am lining the nest for both of us, came the hissing reply. Do not seek to blind the Lord of Shadows with your forked tongue, mortal. What choice do I have? The 13 kingdoms are lousy with the spore of the Seekers. The dead claw at the reborn wherever their master picks out the scent. Come on, scroll. Scroll. Sorry, that's immersion breaking. The male voice laughed without mirth. How like you, mother, to use the consequence of a treacherous act in order to justify it. All this time, and you still know nothing of true rulership. The sheer venom in the female voice made the lost soul, caught now in the thrall of half-formed memories, shiver to the core. Can you not feel the change in the air? The female voice went on. The lack of reply was telling in itself. This delicate balance we have achieved here, this prison, continued the female, it will all be ripped apart like cobwebs in a storm if the portents come to pass. We must act now if we are to prevent that fell cataclysm, or at least ride it out intact. We have a duty to our race, to every soul we rescue. That, at least, is truly eternal. The male voice once again did not reply. After a while, the soul began to think itself abandoned, but then the giant spoke once more. And what of your dear friend and liege apparent, the God King? No doubt he expects you to fight on his behalf. He still places his faith in mortals, the female replied. I have visited his council and found nothing but a herd of short-lived imbeciles unfit to lick my boots. Now their mayfly armies march upon Nagashizar as we speak. He is blind to our work here, as he is to so much of that which transpires in his domain. That much is true, came the reply, a trace of cruel humour behind the words. He still thinks the gladiatorium, a fine and noble tribute, not realising its true purpose. Besides, the sight of his gilded cretins slaughtering one another is a little gift to myself that will never tarnish. We must protect our interests above all, said the female. No doubt you think the twins will intervene before it is too late. They will secure their interests in Haish with wearying efficiency and do little else. The Luminous One has no love for Sigmar, not since that barbarian fool wasted Teclis' kingly gift on his own short-sighted agenda. At the mention of the name Teclis, the soul found something snagging in its mind, like a thorn caught on fabric. That name was familiar, conjuring both love and hatred at the same time. It writhed once more, a thin moan escaping its ethereal lips. Teclis, it said. Two pairs of eyes suddenly fixed upon it, the intensity of their scrutiny like knives boring into the essence of its soul. It spoke, said the female. It spoke, did it not? It did. Another long silence. The soul twisted in strange etheric currents, still caught on the hook that had dragged it from the worst kind of oblivion into the light. Conceivably, it may have heard us, said the male, stooping down until his burning eyes seemed to fill the soul's awareness without end. And that we cannot allow. Sever the snare, said the female. Never let it be said that the Shadow Queen takes unnecessary risks. The rescued soul felt something snap in its mind, and then experienced a jolting feeling of being sucked down, swallowed, and consumed. It began a long, tortured scream, and then disappeared. Holy hell, that story is look, I'm biased. I'm biased toward the elves. I am, alright? I'm biased as all hell. But oh my god, how cool is that? How cool is that? Still the ability to control everyone and everything. The capacity to control everyone and become the chaos god of death and da. I want to see what Tyrion and Teclis have turned into. Oh, I'm so curious. Like, Tyrion is the luminous one, and Marathi and Valyria just call them the twins. They have no respect for their descendants. None whatsoever, and it's brilliant. I love that story. I really, really love that story. It's brilliant. It's so fascinating, because Sigmar doesn't know. It's heavily implied. Sigmar does not know what's going on with Slaanesh. Sigmar has no idea what's going on. That's brilliant. It's like, oh wait, there's elves now. Why? How? I don't know. It's Sigmar, man. Brilliant. I think Tyrion and Teclis are so insular because Sigmar kind of screwed them over. They have no love for Marathi and Valyrian. They just deal with themselves. Yeah, they sent the soul back because basically think about it. Let's say Marathi reincarnates that soul, and that soul becomes an elf, and that elf goes tittle-tattling or running its mouth off to its mates, and somebody overhears it, and that gets back to Sigmar. Oh sorts of trouble. So they're not going to take the risk of having that soul knowing anything, so they're going to put it back in Slaanesh's trap, which is terrifying. Yeah, the four of them have been in a room many a time. I mean, the deal to capture Slaanesh required all four of them to be in the same place to work their magic to trap it between Ulgu and Haish. So if you have any questions about that sort of things that you don't understand, like what the Gladiatorum is or the 13 realms, well, that's in reference to and stuff, do feel free to ask. Imperialis is a descendant of Anarion. Anarion is the father of Valyrian, if I recall correctly. Correct. So Marathi and Anarion took each other as consorts. They married, I don't know, they had a relationship, and that gave birth to Malekith, who became the Witch King. Many generations later, you get Tyrion and Teclis, the last sons of Anarion, and so they're all descended from Marathi. Then what's in the spot that can't be looked at in Sigmar's realm? Which spot? In Azir, I'm not sure what you mean in Azir, because that takes place in Ulgu. That story takes place in Ulgu, the realm of Shadow. I don't know about what you're talking about in Azir. Sounds good, excellent. Yeah, Malign Portents has been utterly fantastic for its lore and its world building and its storytelling has been utterly amazing. I don't know how much the games have really, like how much the gaming expansion has really taken off, but the lore it's brought us has been utterly amazing. That's, I think, what I take away is like, even if Malign Portents as a expansion was just a flash in the pan failure, the plot it's given us has been so worth it, and I'd be happy to do it all over again just for the plot. So like I say, if you have any questions, ask away. If you have any theories, do shoot. Like, like, elves in Sigmar are something that fascinate me, so I'm always going to talk about them a bit. Tactica, if I recall correctly, casts an incredible ritual that makes it impossible for Tzeentch to see into his ear. Okay. That might be Teclis's kingly gift that Malerian and Marathi are referring to. That might be interesting. So maybe that's what pissed off Tyrion. It's like Teclis gave Sigmar this grand gift. Maybe he was like a genie lamp type thing. And Sigmar said, I don't want Tzeentch to see into here. I need privacy. So Teclis did it, and it feels like a waste. Maybe that's what annoyed Tyrion and Teclis. I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, just such a good story. Such a good story. And that's Demon at number 45. Excellent. This is Retributor number 3, nearly base coated. So I just need to neaten up some of the bits because the gold always is messy. I know he locked over my bloody water pot, which would have just been perfect, wouldn't it? Then the sunlight appeared before me. The slime crater is some sort of geometric structure which is currently in Haish. Okay. I'll be interested to see if that comes up when we get Tyrion and Teclis's elves and look into their domain. Because at the minute, I think when we get Malerian's elves, we're going to look into Olgu properly. Like Legions of Nagash gave us a look into Shaiish. And then Tyrion and Teclis's elves will give us a look into Haish. They are aware that Alariel has rejoined the Pantheon. Yes, because, well, they must to some extent. Because maybe in the Age of Myth, Alariel wasn't so much around. But in the Daughters King Battletome, there is a mention of because of there's a coven of witch elves go to assist Alariel in the War of Life. So Marathi and co are aware of Alariel and the fact that she is a god. Whether they count her as one of their pantheon, I don't know, but they kind of have to. So they know she exists, yes. We thought before this that was where Slaanesh was. Yeah, that would have made sense. It's like a place where the Tzeentch couldn't see. Although it's turned out that Tzeentch probably sold Slaanesh out, and I find that hilarious, that I think Tzeentch sold Slaanesh out by accident, allowed Teclis to find Tzeentch's fiddling allowed Teclis to find Slaanesh. I love that. I find that hilarious. You're late, what'd you miss? You missed the Drukhari news preview and me reading an AOS story about Malagith and Marathi and Malerian, and it was utterly amazing. Alariel and Tyrion did have a thing back when they were both mortal, or when Alariel was just the Ever Queen back in the day, and Tyrion was the Defender of Ulthuan. They did have a thing, that's true. As for how they get on today, I'd have to go and read Sylvaneth, and that might help, and then I'd have to get the Tyrion Battletome to know, for sure. So I think we'll need to wait for the Tyrion Teclis Battletome, or the Malerian one at least, to know exactly where the Elven Pantheon is at. Chaos gods despise each other immensely and will willingly backstab each other for supremacy. Yeah, but there's selling each other out for the sake of the great game, and there's going so far as to sell out his god, his mate, to the elves. So what's the gladiatorium? The gladiatorium was a arena provided to Sigmar by Malerion. So what it was a way for the Stormcast to train and fight full on without killing each other. Permanently, anyway. So let me just... There's a little passage in here about it. Where is it? I know it's mentioned in here. I mean, it's in the timeline. I do know that there's a mention of it in here. Not all training was monster hunting. A gift from Malerion, the enchanted dome of the gladiatorium, enabled the Stormcast to fight each other, yet arise unharmed when battle was done. In the greatest exiles, the entire storm host were pitted against each other in thunderous war drills. So it's basically a massive training arena where they can go all out, but not die. But apparently, it's got an ulterior motive that Valerion's put on it. We don't know what that is yet. I'm just going to get a piece of kitchen roll, so be a sec. Oh, I love the elves and their importance. It's fantastic. I should probably get a drink while I'm here. Guessing Malekith goes and watches games. I don't know how much Malerion actually goes to Azir. He's probably quite busy in Ulgu doing his own shtick. And it's Malerion, not Malekith these days. Malekith fused with his dragon in becoming a god, so he is now Malerion. Just a tiny detail. Although he does seem to take some pleasure in what's going on. Yeah. So if the Everqueen's daughter's daughter returned, does that mean he committed high treason? What? If I remember my Elven lore correctly, the Phoenix King and the Everqueen would have a relationship where they would have one child, and then they would be free to pursue their own romantic relations, have children of their own if they wanted to, perhaps. So, if the Everqueen's daughter was not by Finnabar, maybe she hadn't been with Finnabar yet, we don't know. No is the answer. No is the answer, but yeah. Also, it's flat out stated that Tyrion is the last son of an Aryan, so even if he had a daughter with Lariel, that daughter could then have a son, and thus not the last son of an Aryan. Okay, I know the name change, but I still call him Malekith, but used to thanks to does sound like he does as well. He had a reason for making. Oh yeah, Malerion had his reasons, and it wasn't just he wanted to help Sigmar. Not a chance. I don't know what his reasons are right now. We'll have to wait for his battle tome to get much of an indicator, but there'll be an alternative motive. Are we making Malar references now? So you think Malerion is feeding on the bloodshed in the Gladiatorium? We're not sure. It could be that he gets like just perverse pleasure out of it, maybe. Or maybe he does feed off of it, we don't know. Maybe he siphons off some energy of the battle. But then the storm hosts arise unharmed, so it's hard to say what he gets out of it apart from just enjoyment. You need to say Sigmar, not Karl Franz. Sigmar and Karl Franz are two entirely different individuals anyway. The Celestin Prime might be Karl Franz, we don't know. And we'll probably never know. That will be a theory that will run for the ages. Who is the Celestin Prime is... Yeah. Maybe that is who... What is in that... Oh. Malal in the invisibility spot. I wouldn't even be shocked. I doubt it. I wouldn't be shocked, but I doubt it. Karl Franz became one with Sigmar in the end times. Maybe he became like... Did he become like some sort of incarnate? Or did he actually fuse with Sigmar? There appears to be spiritual sets to the Bretonians and Tomb Kings and AOS. Who? Can you give me a name? Better put on my newsman fedora here. I need to use that line more. I love that line. Fuse with Sigmar. Okay. Well, Sigmar has always been like the god of the two, so it's never been a problem for me to say Sigmar. But fair enough. Favorite songs for you. Glock King killed Karl Franz. Oh, we have... The end times is confusing when you look back on it. The end times is really quite... Keeping track of it all must have been really fun for people who are actually trying to study it. Glock King killed Karl Franz. Sigmar possessed him. Right, that's not a fusion, that's a possession. They both hate chaos, it makes some sort of sense. Sigmar can use that with his powers of all... I personally think like Malice is going to be like an even bigger like running joke and not reference thing than the Sisters of Battle. Like, it's just going to be one of those things that's like the fans talk about it, but it's never going to be a thing. I really doubt it. If Malice comes to the game, cool. We get Remlays playing Age of Sigmar, but I don't know. I just don't see it. I'll be honest. I just don't see it. What would that even look like? I don't even know. So have all the Alpha been rebooted? No. The Daughters of Cain, the Marathi faction, have been fully rebooted. The Ideneth are a brand new faction that seem to be affiliated with none of the big four. Sylvaneth are not Elven, technically, even though they're led by an elf in Alariel. And we've had nothing on Malerian, Tyrian, or Teclis. So, no is the answer. heretics by the number. Before his soul left his body, he opened his body, Sigmar took over right. How would that be different to Sigmarines? That's partly why I had the idea. I don't know, my Malice knowledge is very small, and my AOS lore knowledge is not really high enough to try and speculate very well. In all truth. It's the day my world will end. Kingdom of Volpona, the three duchies for Britannia, and the Crimson Dynasty in Nulamia for the Tomb Kings. At least my opinion are spiritual successors to both. Okay, I might have a look at that in a bit. Just see if I can have a look at it. Because Lamia used to be the Blood Throne vampires. Or the Coven Throne, I should say. The female ones was Lamia. So, I'm not sure. You think Tomb Kings will get a re-release? Not under the name Tomb Kings. Maybe, but certainly not under the name Tomb Kings. I think it would be a full reboot. It would be a spiritual successor reboot rather than the faction brought back. It's also a city in the Realm of Death. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Lamia was a place back in the old world. Cetra new model, that would be cool. Like, I think Cetra's like very, very, very dead though. I feel like Cetra is super duper dead. Just want Cetra and Nagash have a massive fight before it ends, something happens and they put it off. That's called teasing. Well, I've got a little bit of known oil left. This can't go any worse. Actually, I said that it couldn't go... Someone said in the chat it couldn't go worse, and then it went worse. So, yeah. The gods remade him, that's the last time we'll see him. Yeah, I feel like Cetra is just dead. Like, not dead Tomb King undead. Like, he's dead. He's dead. He dead. He dead as hell. Where have you been? Do you want Cetra will win because he's Cetra? No. You don't beat... If you are undead, you do not beat the god of the undead. Like, Cetra's rebellion against Nagash and stuff is cute and admirable, but he was never ever gonna beat Nagash. Realistically. Yeah, he died in the end times. I thought he did. I thought he had a proper dead death. Yeah, no more oil spills. I agree. I mean, to be fair, if I spill it again, there's almost nothing to lose. He could come back as a spirit. How would you do that? Like, he's not Marathi, who escaped from Slaanesh. Like, that's not like Marathi, who was consumed by Slaanesh and escaped. This is utterly destroyed by the god of the dead. He's dead. He's gone. I'm sorry. I know it's salt-inducing. Cetra is gone. Evening. Maybe the gas didn't destroy him outright. So what happened then? And the only time we last to see of him was the time Nagashi was going to end, but first he had to deal with Chaos and run into the fight, and that's as far as he always died. Yeah, I just want to know what happened in the end, because as far as I was aware, Nagash just outright killed him. As far as I was aware, he was just killed. I don't know if Warren Fantasy Battles AOS to know who I want back. I love the new Decala model. Decala. A Chaos Champion, a High Elf who converts to worship of Slaanesh. Okay. Interesting. I bet the guy's going to kill him to make him seem like a bigger threat. He's a god. He doesn't need to make him seem like a bigger threat. He's a god. Even back then, he was a god. Fantasy was AOS like the major. The characters are more or less the same with a few changes. Yeah, Marathi's not changed at all because it's literally the same character transplanted across. Same with the other gods. The new heroes. Yeah, it's like some characters did get transplanted straight over, like the Elven gods, Sigmar and Co. Yeah, Six-Armed Snake Lady. Oh god. The thing is, that's then treading on Marathi. Nagash only blew him up, and 2 days later he got back up, fought the Dragon Ogre dude that's bigger than Mats for 3 days and won. Really? I'm gonna go and Google this. All right, I'm gonna Google this. Cetra. End times. So according to, and I know this is 1D4chan, Nagash just says F it and casually blows up Cetra and scatters his bones across Khemri before claiming leadership of the Tomb Kings. As a final insult, Nagash destroys Khemri, forcing Cetra to watch, and makes everyone leave Cetra stuck there with the ruins of his city. After Flip knows how long and getting tired of yelling to scare off hungry vultures, Cetra starts to wish he were mortal just so he could die. Then four unknown beings, revealed with hindsight to be the Chaos Gods, put his body back together and fill him with new power. Seeing as one, they tell him his battle with Nagash doesn't have to end, that he can be king again. Cetra doesn't answer. There's no peep about him in the subsequent books, not even in Archaon. Though, according to Josh Reynolds, yay Reynolds, Cetra walked to Middenheim and approached Archaon as an ally. To test him, he was ordered to kill someone. Cetra and called it battle for 4 days, but Cetra won. He then encountered Manfred at Middenheim after the latter betrayed Nagash but gave no acknowledgement. To some point before the Incarnates arrived, Cetra went on his own way. Cetra then confronted Nagash in the final battle, pointing his Kovesh at Nagash and calling him a usurper, then explains the Chaos Gods resurrected him to kill him. Cetra then performs something to a Chaos Demon. He tells Nagash he will claim his skull eventually, but only after killing the Chaos Gods for daring to offer him immortality and the chance to conquer all realities. He then charges against Chaos, killing a giant book of measure, and his last scene fighting them as the world is consumed. Okay. So, he died outright, but was then brought back by the Chaos Gods, gave the Chaos Gods the middle finger, and then was sort of just fighting as the world ended. Anyone who fights the god dead and lives is a badass in my book. Fair. A fair assessment. I mean, some apparently theorise that Cetra is the Celestin Prime, but we had a herald standing from leftovers exalted chariot kit. Nice. Yeah, the Chaos Gods gave Cetra a chance and he gave them the middle finger, which I just think is amusing. Get me some money too. Let's get some of these bits glued together. Actually, now that I've done the wash, I want to get some bits together. So yeah, there we go. I've now given you the story of Cetra, so we can stop arguing about it because none of us seem to know. Or we do seem to know, but we can't seem to agree. Reading that, I do think Cetra is probably dead, but there's technically scope for him to be alive. Hashtag the warp did it. Ha! Ah. Took you in. Cetra gave everyone the middle finger. The name one. Oh, right. Yeah, it was a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth type thing. Okay. Yeah, Cetra's a bat. Who do you think the Celestin Prime is? My money is it's either it could be Karl Franz, but there's the whole fusion with Sigmar thing apparently, so awkward to know. Cetra is not an impossibility. Just give me a sec and I'll get this glued on, and then I'll go and have a read of the Celestin Prime's page, see what I can draw from it. So his will could have been battled to salt where he was, then it was blown up, he may just be gone, but don't rule it out. Cetra is, and always was, an idiot with a losing hand. I don't know about he's an idiot. Idiot, I think, is a bit harsh on Cetra. Repeat. Do not. Oh, don't start with your Dracos. A long forgotten mortal into a stormcast eternal. A long forgotten mortal was to be announced to the greatest champions of chaos. That's not very helpful. Just a long forgotten mortal, that's not helpful at all. The first of the Stormcast Eternals. That's not helpful. Wolfric, no, Chaos dude, not a chance. Wolfric the Wanderer was not an anti-chaos person. The problem is Cetra is the king first, and unless him bound to another, even Sigmar. Sorry, he's not the right. Yeah, there's a theory on Cetra, but no, it is also because of the fact that Cetra served no one. Unlikely to be. It's just it's an outside theory if you don't buy into Karl Franz. Personally, I still buy into the prime is Karl Franz, given the ties to Gal Maraz and everything, but I don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know. I think it's one of those theories like, who's the Sanguinal? We'll never get a definitive answer. Tuscany's new law. It would be fun. It would be fun. What do you think of the Drukhari rules? Yeah, I did talk about it earlier. Fun and flavourful, but I'm not going to collect them. As for how powerful they'll be, well, craft worlds are better, so don't expect to see them much in Inari outside what they're already doing. Honestly, I think they're just another mid-tier codex. I don't know who that name is. Five mostly powerful entries, one a god of death and four the Craftian Eldritch horrors, and you an undead king refuse them. Yes, because Cetra. Toddbringer. Boris Toddbringer. It could be anybody. It really could. So I won't rule it out, but I find that compared to Franz, who we know has ties to Sigmar from the end times, I find it unlikely. He got what was coming to him. What? Eternal life and a chance to fight against the greatest monsters ever and potentially actually beat them and survive into the next universe. Yeah, right. Still no Mind Shackle Showers Kessera bolts. Well, Mind Shackle Scarrows were going to be always really hard to balance because they're really annoying. Tesseract Labyrinth, I admit I'm sad to see that go because I enjoyed that. I thought that was really fun. But hey, can't win them all. Sweetly dream about tomorrow instead. Have you seen Remy's new video on Varus Manus? I haven't. I was rather busy this morning. I know it's there, but I haven't had a chance to watch it because I've had like 6 hours worth of classes today, and I've also recorded 2 videos, so I've been a bit busy today, unfortunately. I love the dreams will come true, so just close your eyes to a sweet lullaby. Central's one thing that we all agree on. Sweet chariot. Yep. Very awesome chariot. I'll agree to that. Yeah. Frames. I think Drukhari like Craftworld are incredibly strong depending on the player's skill. I think their base power is lower than Craftworld. Are they good? Yeah, probably in the right hands. Are they better than Craftworlds or on a level with Craftworlds? I don't think so. Personally. I don't think they're on the Craftworlds level. Good, yes. Craftworlds, good, no. What would I see in a new Orc Codex? Flavor for all the clans, of course. A general boost to non-horde builds. So like definitely an idea of boosting speed freaks and Daka orcs and dread mobs and stuff, and just making all those sort of things workable. Beyond that, just like a general balance pass, and then at that point, I'm not fussed. Like balance pass it, introduce more flavorful options like speed and Daka and dread mob, and then at that point, I'm happy, as long as they're not garbage tier. Make them usable, make them flavorful, and make them fun to play. That's all an Orc player needs. Usable, flavorful, and fun. An inexperienced player will have more difficulty with any other offers. Oh yeah, with Craftworlds you'll still have trouble as an inexperienced player, but if you're asking the best players to pick which army is the strongest, I reckon they'll still say Craftworlds. Of the two. I know it's about the Resurrection of Varus Manus. I just haven't had a chance to watch it. I know it's there, I just haven't had a chance to watch it. And most Codex armies can get to the top 16, if not top 10, if the player has the skill in the meta. Yeah, that's true. If you bring an army that's good against the current meta, you can go far if you're a good general. That's very, very true. Yeah. I am currently painting a Stormcast Eternals Retributor with his massive lightning hammer. I'm just doing the highlights now, and then I'll have him finished. And then not long after that, we'll probably wrap the stream up. So, can we have Orc tanks just move randomly? If the looted wagon comes back, don't press that would be hilarious. But, I think Orcs might lose a little bit of their RNG. I don't know. I feel like super crazy RNG is not really the 8th edition way. Like, RNG, yeah, like randomness, sure. But like 8th edition is not about hyper crazy RNG. Elements of it, sure, but there'll have to be a level of base consistency to go with that crazy RNG. Orcs and Trucks came second and third at the GT Heat 2. Huh. Well, that's unexpected. I mean, positive, but unexpected. An Orc player wants an Orc Codex with a new Gazcon model that's bigger. That too. Slayer of Kings. Oh, screw off, Archaon. Tend to work on the rocks for the bases. Why the fact that that's in quote-unquote scares me. Scattered Ice back were for Orcs only and Orcs about RNG. No, I wouldn't want that. I'd want them to have maybe a little bit of RNG over everybody else, but I want them to have a base power level supplemented by funky RNG. Like, I want a base power level supplemented by RNG. How are the Tau doing? Well, at the weekend I watched New Tau get beat by a Blood Angels Eldari force that just got right down their throats really early. And this was a Tau army with like 3 Riptides and a Storm Surge. So it wasn't nothing. So I still think, I've said Tau are like mid-tier. I'll ask Alexis on the podcast how she thinks they're doing, whether they had an impact. No, they wouldn't have been out in time for Adepticon, really. Yeah. Okay. I thought you, because it was Slanesh army, you were going to do something really crazy with it. They weren't actually rocks at all. I thought you were going to do something really scary. But yeah. I don't know. I've always said the Tau are mid-tier, but I haven't seen them play because, well, I don't play 40k at the minute. The fact they're doing Harlequins at Deathwatch and Imperialis is also unacceptable. Knights I get. I said this in the Adepticon video. Harlequins makes sense that Inari can be done. Imperial Knights is fun because the Armored Warglaze is. Deathwatch caught me out, but then we also need to have some Imperial factions mixed in. Tau are doing good with the Codex, but they're not amazing, but they are better. Fine. Better. I fought Tau. Good for you. That doesn't tell me anything. Ba-ba-dum, ba-da-dum. My paint is gone. I meant in lore. Oh, lore-wise. Oh, well, the 4th sphere ended up going and getting lost through a wormhole, and then they found that wormhole, and now they've got a second empire up to the north. That's where the 5th sphere is. And also there's people defecting to the Farsight Enclaves from the 4th sphere because they went kind of a bit psycho. And Farsight went back to Arthas Moloch, if you can believe it. What about Gazgul, Tuscarora for Orcs in their own turn? But we need a 3rd model for that. Orchimedes, Zogwart, Wazdaka. I don't know if we'll get Triumvirates again though. I think like Triumvirates were a Gathering Storm gimmick. I don't think we'll see them again. I don't think. Orchimedes, the thing is, Orchimedes has never been seen. Like, he's a high priority Assassinorum target, but his existence has never been confirmed. That's hilarious. Tau teleportation and heavy hatred from the Ethereal cast. Yeah, the Ethereals are in an interesting spot. Tau sniper drones, Spore concept, and Cold Star commanders. Yawn. Especially if your spurs go jingle, jangle, jangle, and you meet some nice gals along the way. You think Tusk will be a champion of Khorne by now? I wouldn't even be shocked. Because it better not amazing. Yeah, that's fine. Like, I don't want Tau to be top tier. I want him to be good enough to pass and maybe do okay in tournaments and survive casually. But, damn, I'm quite happy with them being mid-tier. As long as I have a chance of winning my games without having to scum, that'll do me, honestly. Oh good, and drones can die somewhere in the warp. Yeah, I can imagine just like Savior Protocols is exceptionally annoying. May I have done some fooling, this is what I know. Any handy tips and tricks for painting Tau? Edge highlighting is your friend. Particularly on battle suits, edge highlighting is your friend. Don't do anything crazy with them. So like, block colour scheme with secondary sept colour will do. Like, blue armour with red trim, that's done me for my entire army, apart from the 8, which is red with blue. I saw Rigo Queen at Adepticon with Walker, but yeah, Alexis and Miranda, I'm pretty sure had a game, which is fun, yeah. Yeah, jingle, jangle, jingle. I'm listening to Radio New Vegas. What else am I going to do? I'm listening to Radio New Vegas. I think about it, Commando Warrior, Mage Techie, fits right into that trifecta, but yeah, I don't think we're going to get trifectas and triumvirates again. That's the thing, I don't think we're going to get them again. Chaos Lord laughing about... otherwise, looking at the stars next and thinking, Or right into the heart of the Templar. Well, the Death Guard have actually done that. The Death Guard have attacked the Stargate, the Starside Nexus, and broken it. They were repulsed overall, but the Tau couldn't stop all of them. So, yeah, that's happened. Tau admitted to tier 1.5, not saying much, says that's where everyone is. There are 3 good sets and 1 is Farsight. Yes! Farsight is viable! Booyah! Ah, yes. I find that... Like, I know I'm biased, but I find that endlessly amusing that the combat Tau Sept is good. If that's true. If that's true and Farsight is viable, that's just hilarious that the combat is viable. The Fang and War Flesh base in detail, respectively. I don't even bother with Flesh. Like, apart from, like, the one Fireblade where I had to, I have not painted a single model with Flesh. Right. If I just put that there. So there you go. 1 Retributor. Done. Prime white, red paints, wash of Adrat, simple and effective. Yep. You really do not have to do anything crazy with Tau to get them to look good. Or at least usable. You really don't have to go bad. I thought Tony the Farsight is good. It's good, thank you. So I've got 2 more to do now. One, the Starsaw Mace, and then the Prime. Blue hair on Demonettes. Try it. Just have a spare head, paint it with blue hair, see what happens. The time I'm just going to spray them silver, then highlight them, give an orange set markings. That works. That really will just work. That unit. Which unit? Which unit? I've got pins and needles on my left leg now. Tower of 3 armies where less paint is good. Tower 1, Marines are probably 1. Other than that, what would be the other one? Tau, Marines, and Orcs, maybe? Oh, Retributors. Oh, Retributor smashed an Archaon in the face. Well, there's only 5 of them here. They're not going to smash an Archaon in the face. Or if they do, they certainly wouldn't kill him. Oh, wait, Drukhari's up. Nah, I always went down the NCR or the independent route. Wildflesh for the cloth, and then the Fang for armor. Oh, because the Fang is what I use as my base coat for my flesh. So you use the Fang and then Rust Grey highlights. That's how I do my flesh on my Tau. That's where I got confused. My apologies. Tau Guard and Necrons. Oh, Necrons, of course. I would have thought Marines would have been quite an easy one to get away with. But Guard, okay, Necrons makes total sense. Anyway, we're not going to go much longer. I finished the model now. So we'll probably wrap up the stream pretty soon. I'll publish this tomorrow. So yeah, I do hope it's been a pleasurable stream. So you got any last questions, whether it's regarding the story we had earlier, regarding meta, regarding models, whatever, let me know. And remember, if you are leaving questions for Adeptus Podcastus, do so within the next 48 hours because we will have recorded it this time on Friday. Oh yeah, but. Or Tau Flash at all costs, I have no choice because Tau Flash is just difficult to get right. I just don't bother. Helmets every time. Every time helmets. Do you have the Starsaw Mace? The 4th model, yes. I've got 3 models with hammers, and then I have 1 with the mace, and then the prime. I only ever give 1 the Starsaw Mace because I'm a bit of a purist. So how is the new Codex Changer tell us? I haven't got the Tau Codex yet. I'm not picking it up till I go back to England because I'm not playing it 40k out here. So I'll pick it up when I go home and have a bit of a play around with it. So I don't know. Can we have story time every live stream? If there's a story that takes my interest, like actually properly takes my interest from like Mala Importance or whatever, then I'll give it a read, sure, but I don't know about every stream because I stream like twice a week and we only get a story like once a week. If a story catches my attention, I'll give it a read, but I can't promise to do it very often. So maybe we'll get an Idoneth story and I'll have a read of that next stream. What's to do with Markalite units at Tower Blaze is pretty good buffs. Yeah, Markalites have always been a thing. Kill Markalites and win. That's always been a bit of a thing. They're an arcane bolt every combat. I know they are, but I don't know. Like I say, I'm just a bit of a purist. I know I should have two, but I don't know. I've never been fussed for them the same way as I might be for others. Like, they're cool to have and they're a nice ping, but I mean, think about it. The Retributors are 2 attacks at 2 damage. So realistically, they could be putting out 2 to 4 damage, and on average, you'll be getting D3, so about 2 out of the mace. In some ways, the Retributor's hammer might be better if it can get through armor. What do you think about audiobooks uploaded on YouTube? Sure, I'm personally not going to, but I would do. Independent. Yeah, I can't go down the seas route. I just don't have the guts for it, and I don't want to kill the Brotherhood. So basically, I kept the Brotherhood alive by going with one of the other two. God, they look good. So I'm thinking of making a Farsight conversion. Any advice? Get the actual Dawnblade. Honestly, the Farsight model is so good, but make sure you have the actual Dawnblade or a very, very, very good proxy for it. You need to have a good Dawnblade and make it look dynamic. I can't really say much more. Maybe have it flying, so it's like the plasma rifle's out and the sword's up here behind his, over his shoulder, or up here so he's like firing as he's landing. Or maybe have it so he's lunging with his sword forward. I don't know, there's so many ways you could do it. But make it look dynamic. That's the main thing, dynamic. I probably won't do that, but I could. Anyway, we're going up on 2¼ hours. We've gone a little bit longer than usual. Well, a little bit longer than 2 hours what I normally stream for, but that's fine. So, I think I'm going to call it a stream, so I want to do a little bit more work on a script before I head to bed tonight. So, thank you all for coming out. I hope you've enjoyed doing the news and having that little story reading and the AOS lore discussion that came from it, along with everything else. So, yeah, it's been a really good stream, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. So, until the next time, this has been Tactica Imperialis, and I will see you all very soon. And make sure if you're doing so, get your questions in for Adeptus Podcasters very, very soon, because the podcast will be recorded in the not too distant future. You look forward to another 40k stories on Saturday, and then A Town Called Malice is back on Monday with your regular scheduled programming and all of that stuff. Yes, high level damage fail, that is true, but Nurgle's giving up -2 to hit and -1 to wound. To each their own. Yeah, I know, there's different ways of running it, and I'm a bit of a purist for single weapons. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure. Good night.